Chris Butt from New Zealand is 9th. Illisp is P5 driving a McLaren. Best lap is a 1:29.072. That Canadian guy is P8. Best lap is a 3:07.344. YH8 Racing is 7th driving a Toyota. Illisp is P5. YH8 Racing is P7. Best lap is a 1:30.544. Chris Butt is 9th. YH8 Racing is 8th. That Canadian guy from Canada is 5th. Best lap is a 1:28.204. Illisp is P6. Chris Butt is 9th. That Canadian guy is 4th driving a McLaren. Best lap is a 1:27.872. Jason Short from New Zealand is P10. That Canadian guy is 4th. YH8 Racing is P8 driving a Toyota. Chris Butt is 10th. Jason Short is 9. Best lap is a 3:13.470. The qualification session is at JR Road, Atlanta. Jason Short from New Zealand is 20th. YH8 Racing from New Zealand is P2. Jason Short is 2nd. Todd from New Zealand is P6. YH8 Racing is P3. Jason Short is 2nd. The race dictator from New Zealand is P1 up 2.59. Best lap is a 1:30.964. 10 minutes remaining in the session. The race dictator improved his P1 with a 1:28.394. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 1:28.053. That Canadian guy is 5th. That Canadian guy improved his 2nd with a 1:28.165. 0.112 off pole. Todd is P6 up 3.01. YH8 Racing is P5 up 0.29. That Canadian guy from Canada is P2 up 0.31. The race dictator is 3rd up 0.12. YH8 Racing is P5 up 0.12. Best lap is a 1:30.362. 2.309 off pole. YH8 Racing improved is 5th with a 130.313. 2.260 off pole. That Canadian guy is provisional pole with a 127.818. Todd is 8th. Todd improved is 3rd with a 128.128. 0.310 off pole. Illis from New Zealand is P7 up 0.53. Illis improved is 6th with a 129.302. 1.484 off pole. Jason Short is P2. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 127.801. That Canadian guy is P2. That Canadian guy is provisional pole with a 127.555. Chris Butt from New Zealand is P8 up 0.89. Illis is P6 up 0.51 driving a McLaren. Five minutes remaining in the session. Illis improved is 6th with a 129.146. 1.591 off pole. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 127.308. Chris Butt is 8th. Todd is P3 up 0.40. Todd improved is P3 with a 127.657. 0.349 off pole. Chris Butt is P8 up 2.30. Chris Butt improved is 7th with a 129.673. 2.365 off pole. YH8 Racing is 8th up 0.60. YH8 Racing improved his P8 with a 129.837. 2.529 off pole. Chris Butt is P7 up 0.54. Best lap is a 129.673. 2.365 off pole. Crispa improved his P5 with a 128.627. 1.319 off pole. The race dictator is P4 up 0.68. The race dictator is provisional pole with a 127.304. Todd is P4 up 0.57. Todd is provisional pole with a 127.303. Johnny Prince from New Zealand is 5th up 0.31. The qualifying session is now in overtime. Johnny Prince improved his P5 with a 127.981. 0.678 off pole. Broadcast bot is 20th. The race session is at JR Road, Atlanta. Todd is first. The race dictator from New Zealand is second. Jason Short from New Zealand is third. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Todd from New Zealand is P2. That Canadian guy from Canada is third. Todd is P2. Jason Short is fourth. Todd is P2. Jason Short is fourth. Todd is P2, 0.4 behind the race dictator. Todd passed the race dictator for first. Jason Short is P4, 0.2 behind Ilisv. YH8 Racing from New Zealand is 7, 0.2 behind Johnny Prince. Jason Short is P4, 0.8 behind Ilisv. The race dictator from New Zealand is P2, 1.3 behind Todd. Jason Short is fourth, 0.6 behind Ilisv. The race dictator is P2, 1.2 behind Todd. Jason Short is P4, 0.3 behind Ilisv. The race dictator is P2, 1.2 behind Todd. Jason Short is fourth, 0.4 behind Ilisv. Johnny Prince from New Zealand is P7, 1.4 behind YH8 Racing. Jason Short is fourth. Best lap is a 129.572. 1.622 off the fastest lap. 15 minutes remaining in the session. Johnny Prince is P7, 1.0 behind YH8 Racing. Johnny Prince passed YH8 Racing for P6. Jason Short is fourth, 0.6 behind Ilisv. The race dictator on lap 4 is P2, 2.0 behind Todd. Jason Short is fourth, 0.8 behind Ilisv. The race dictator is P2, 1.7 behind Todd. Jason Short is fourth driving a Toyota, 0.7 behind Illisp. The race dictator is second, 1.5 behind Todd. Illisp from New Zealand is P4, 0.3 behind Jason Short. Illisp passed Jason Short for third. Illisp lost P3 to Jason Short. The race dictator is second. Best lap is a 127.953. 0.164 off the fastest lap. Illisp is P4, 2.6 behind Jason Short. That Canadian guy is P5, 2.0 behind Illisp. That Canadian guy was 3.5 faster last lap. The race dictator is P2, 2.7 behind Todd. That Canadian guy is P5. Best lap is a 127.950. 0.161 off the fastest lap. The race dictator is P2. That Canadian guy is P5, 0.8 behind Illisp. The race dictator from New Zealand is second, 2.7 behind Todd. Ten minutes remaining in the session. That Canadian guy is P5 driving a McLaren, 0.3 behind Illisp. Illisp is fifth battling that Canadian guy. The race dictator from New Zealand is P2, 3.0 behind Todd. Illisp is P5, 0.7 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy was 2.5 faster last lap. The race dictator on lap 8 is P2, 2.7 behind Todd. Illisv is 5th, 1.9 behind that Canadian guy. Tsukuba entering the pits is P8. The race dictator is 2nd, 2.8 behind Todd. Illisv is P5, 2.6 behind that Canadian guy. The race dictator is P2, 2.7 behind Todd. Tsukuba exiting pits. Illisv is 5th, 3.5 behind that Canadian guy. The race dictator is 2nd, 2.3 behind Todd. Illisv is P5. Best lap is a 1:28.337. 1.171 off the fastest lap. The race dictator is 2nd, 2.0 behind Todd. Jason Short is 3rd, 4.3 behind the race dictator. The race dictator is P2, 1.9 behind Todd. Johnny Prince on lap 10 is 6th, 4.8 behind Illisv. 5 minutes remaining in the session. The race dictator from New Zealand is 2nd, 1.9 behind Todd. Illisv on lap 11 is P5, 4.1 behind that Canadian guy. The race dictator on lap 11 is P2, 2.6 behind Todd. Johnny Prince from New Zealand is 6th, 4.3 behind Illisv. race dictator is P2, 1.9 behind Todd. Johnny Prince is P6. Best lap is a 127.859. 0.693 off the fastest lap. The race dictator is P2, 2.3 behind Todd. Johnny Prince is P6, 2.4 behind Illisp. Johnny Prince was 2.1 faster last lap. The race dictator is second, 2.2 behind Todd. Johnny Prince is 6th, 1.9 behind Illisp. The race dictator from New Zealand is second, 1.8 behind Todd. Johnny Prince on lap 13 is 6th, 1.0 behind Illisp. The race dictator is P2. Best lap is a 127.756. 0.590 off the fastest lap. Johnny Prince is P6, 1.8 behind Illisp. The race dictator is second driving a Porsche, 1.6 behind Todd. Johnny Prince is 6th, 1.4 behind Illisp. Todd on lap 14 is P1, 1.8 ahead of the race dictator. The leader has just finished the race. Todd finished P1. The race dictator finished P2. Jason Short finished third. That Canadian guy finished fourth. Illisp finished P5. Johnny Prince finished P6. YH8 Racing is P7. YH8 Racing finished P7. Chris Butt is P8. Chris Butt from New Zealand finished P8. Broadcast bot is P9. The race session is at JR Road, Atlanta. Chris Butt from New Zealand is P1. YH8 Racing from New Zealand is P2. Johnny Prince from New Zealand is P3. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Johnny Prince lost third to Illisp. Johnny Prince lost P4 to Jason Short. Illisp is P2. Johnny Prince is third. Todd from New Zealand is fifth. Jason Short from New Zealand is P2. Johnny Prince is P3. Jason Short is P2. Chris Butt is P2, 0.2 behind Jason Short. Chris Butt lost P2 to Johnny Prince. That Canadian guy from Canada is fourth, 0.3 behind Chris Butt. That Canadian guy passed Chris Butt for third. Todd from New Zealand is fifth, 0.3 behind Chris Butt. That Canadian guy from Canada is P3, 0.1 behind Johnny Prince. That Canadian guy passed Johnny Prince for P2. Johnny Prince is P2 battling that Canadian guy. Todd is 5th driving a Porsche, 0.3 behind Chris Budd. Todd is now 4th. Illis is 5th. That Canadian guy is 3rd, 1.2 behind Johnny Prince. Illis from New Zealand is P5, 1.2 behind Todd. That Canadian guy is 3rd driving a McLaren, 0.9 behind Johnny Prince. Illis on lap 4 is 5th, 1.5 behind Todd. Todd was 0.7 faster last lap. 15 minutes remaining in the session. That Canadian guy is 3rd, 1.0 behind Johnny Prince. The race dictator from New Zealand is P7, 0.9 behind Chris Budd. The race dictator was 4.3 faster last lap. That Canadian guy is 3rd, 0.8 behind Johnny Prince. The race dictator is 7th, 0.3 behind Chris Budd. The race dictator passed Chris Budd for 6th. That Canadian guy is 3rd driving a McLaren, 0.9 behind Johnny Prince. Chris Budd from New Zealand is P7, 0.7 behind the race dictator. That Canadian guy is P3, 1.1 behind Johnny Prince. The race dictator is 6th, 0.8 behind Illis. That Canadian guy is P3, 1.0 behind Johnny Prince. The race dictator is 6th, 1.0 behind Illis. That Canadian guy is P3, 1.0 behind Johnny Prince. The race dictator is 6th, 0.3 behind Illis. That Canadian guy is P3 driving a McLaren, 1.0 behind Johnny Prince. The race dictator is P6, 0.3 behind Illis. That Canadian guy is P3, 0.8 behind Johnny Prince. The race dictator is 6th, 0.4 behind Illis. The race dictator was 0.5 faster last lap. That Canadian guy from Canada is 3rd, 0.4 behind Johnny Prince. Chris Butt is 7th, 1.3 behind Illis. Ten minutes remaining in the session. That Canadian guy is P3, 0.4 behind Johnny Prince. Illis is 6th. Best lap is a 1:29.387. 1.824 off the fastest lap. That Canadian guy on lap 8 is P3, 0.6 behind Johnny Prince. Illis is P6, 0.7 behind the race dictator. Chris Butt entering the pits is 8th. Todd is P3 driving a Porsche, 2.2 behind that Canadian guy. Chris Butt exiting pits. The race dictator is 5th, 2.3 behind Johnny Prince. Illis is P6, 2.1 behind the race dictator. The race dictator was 1.1 faster last lap. Todd is P3, 2.2 behind that Canadian guy. Illis is 6th, 2.4 behind the race dictator. race dictator is P5, 1.5 behind Johnny Prince. Illusp is 6th, 4.2 ahead of YH8 Racing. The race dictator is 5th, 1.0 behind Johnny Prince. YH8 Racing is 7th driving a Toyota, 4.0 behind Illusp. The race dictator is P5 driving a Porsche, 0.3 behind Johnny Prince. YH8 Racing is P7 driving a Toyota, 4.8 behind Illusp. The race dictator is 5th, 0.4 behind Johnny Prince. The race dictator was 2.1 faster last lap. Johnny Prince is 4th, 0.5 ahead of the race dictator. 5 minutes remaining in the session. The race dictator is 5th, 0.6 behind Johnny Prince. YH8 Racing is P7, 3.0 behind Illusp. Illusp is P6. Best lap is a 128.917. 1.662 off the fastest lap. YH8 Racing is P7, 3.9 behind Illusp. Illusp on lap 11 is 6th, 1.7 behind the race dictator. YH8 Racing is 7th, 3.5 behind Illusp. Illusp is 6th, 2.4 behind the race dictator. YH8 Racing is P7. Best lap is a 128.911. 1.656 off the fastest lap. Illusp is P6, 3.3 behind the race dictator. Illusp was 4.2 faster last lap. YH8 Racing is 7th, 4.3 behind Illusp. Illusp from New Zealand is 6th, 3.4 ahead of YH8 Racing. YH8 Racing on lap 13 is 7th, 3.8 behind Illusp. Illusp is 6th, 4.0 ahead of YH8 Racing. Illusp was 0.7 faster last lap. YH8 Racing is P7. The race dictator on lap 14 is 5th, 4.6 behind Johnny Prince. Johnny Prince was 0.5 faster last lap. Todd is P4. Best lap is a 1:27.580. 0.325 off the fastest lap. Todd is now P5. Johnny Prince is P5, 0.2 behind Illusp. Jason Short is P1. The leader has just finished the race. Jason Short finished first. That Canadian guy finished P2. The race dictator is third. The race dictator finished third. Chris Butt finished P8. Johnny Prince finished P4. Illusp finished P5. YH8 Racing finished 6th. Todd finished P7. Broadcast bot is P9.